Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Adiola, and this is Colorful Conversation. Our guest for today is Mariam Mouna, and actually, the way we met, it's been years since we met, interestingly, and we've worked together in a capacity of writer, editor. We've worked together in a capacity of sponsor. Mar has sponsored some Distinguished Diva events. Mar has opened up her heart to share energy, reading and writing and messages and download for the collective and the community with Distinguished Diva. And I just realized that we've talked about so many things. And I'm like, oh, this downloads and knowledge and incredible talent that you are needs to be shared with the bigger community. And actually, I love having conversation with specifically women of African descent, because I think that we have so much to say, and the platform that we tend to use silence those voices or do not agree with those messages. So in a way, there is algorithmic erasure that happens that I want to do things about, because I just feel like our voice should be amplified and we should be able to talk about the things that connect us, but also the things that help us see our collective liberation and reimagine what that looks like as we continue. So the way the format is going is I will do a mini intro, which I just did, but I will also introduce who our guest is today, and I will ask Mar 3 questions. And after my questions, I will open the question up to the audience, and people can ask as many questions as they have. I want this to be intimate and a place where we all feel open and allowed to share our download, but also to receive what spirit has for us. And I will challenge and also invite everybody to use their own intuition and guidance of their own ancestors to take what messages for them and what works for them. So as we will begin, Mariam Mouna is the founder of ICU Wellness, one of my favorite spots in New York. I think the last time I was in ICU Wellness was before they moved. And I think you moved now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So to talk about who Mariam is a Marrakech native, Brooklyn-based, and alchemist, a healer, an energy practitioner, and I will say also an incredible writer. As an editor who have commissioned Mariam before and edited her work, I have seen her work. Her writing or download that are channeled through ancestors, but also our connection to nature. So I will say that Mariam is also an incredible writer who has featured their work in different format, and they are a certified Reiki healer, sound healer, hypnotist, quantum alchemy. Wow. And Mars study alongside her peers and teachers to bring accessible healing modalities communities who need it. They are funders of Zen. I remember the festival that you founded, and also have been published in Health Magazine, Raffinery 29, Madame Noire, Black Girl in Om, and also the Beyoncé Black Parade, which I think that is very recent, and like, congratulations. The Queen Bee knows who you are. So by extension, I guess she knows who I am. Okay, we will close the Beyonce moment. And I think I wanted this conversation to be also a way we talk about community awareness when we are going through liberation movements. I'm currently in West Africa with everything happening back home in Nigeria. The one thing I have found as a constant is the healing community and the way I use the healing modalities that I'm learning from my peers, but also from my teachers to heal. So my first question is, what made you say my work and my life purpose will be to help people build healing modalities? What was the moment? I know you were in advertising before. So what was the moment that said, I need to leave that word and this is the work that my ancestors and my spirit are calling me to do?
Wow, that is a big question. That is a big question that I'm very happy to answer. It might be a little bit longer than just a one sentence question, but I just want to start by expressing gratitude for the work that you do and for the spaces that you curate and people that you bring together. We have been working with each other for a long time, and I'm just grateful to continue building this friendship and this relationship. So thank you all for who are here in person, I'm really excited to be here with you. It's been a while since I've done something so intimate. So I'm really excited for all the questions y'all are going to ask me that I'm going to channel for y'all. So, and of course, thank you to everyone tuning in from the recording. So the question you ask is, how did I decide to go into this healing path? You know, before I was working in corporate space, I was a creative in advertising. And so what happened was I was in this space, I was working, doing my thing. But I knew as soon as I got into the advertising world, I was a creative and an art director. And I got into it because I was really drawn to the idea of speaking to the masses and the idea of being able to uplift a lot of people at the same time. It was like very energy efficient for me, you know. In hindsight, I was like, my energy worker self was like, yeah, let's do that. Let's try to hack that. But I couldn't hack it. I could not hack the matrix, y'all. I couldn't. It was not possible. It was when I got in there, I learned a lot, as in I learned what it's like to be in those systems and what is really not functioning in those systems, and the people that are the gatekeepers of those systems and what they're made of. So I got to learn a lot about the matrix and how the dark side works. But at some point I felt like I had a choice, like it was like a timeline split for me, where I had to choose, do I want to commit, like, do I want to say, this is the job that I need and I cannot disconnect from this job, I cannot live without this job, I need the money, I need the career, I'm too afraid. Do I give my power all to this thing that I'm plugged into? Or do I fully unplug with the full knowing that I don't know where I'm going, but I get my freedom back somehow? So I chose the second path, which is the path of the mystery, because it was a mystery. I had no idea I was going to be here. I just had to choose myself, because I actually waited until the very last moment. I was, you know, very depressed. I was, you know, having feelings of anxiety. It was just like I was losing my light, losing myself, losing my power. I was draining so much energy by being in a space that wasn't meant for me. And so the second that I chose myself and decided, okay, I'm going to take a leap and see what happens. So when I took that leap of faith, I reset everything. Like as an immigrant coming to New York, first of all, getting a job in New York in advertising as a woman of color, as an international immigrant, it was already hard. So to give something like that up did not make sense intellectually. But I knew in my heart that, like, I deserve better than whatever this is. Whatever this is, I'm willing to let it go in order for me to see what's on the other side. And so I quit, and I quit everything, let go of the job. With that, I let go of a lot of people who came with the industry, with the job. I essentially reset my whole identity. I became empty, completely empty. And I just asked my guides, show me, what is it that you want me to do? What should I do? Should I start my own agency, which is what I was going to do? Should I do this? Should I do this? And they said, the message that I received was, you've done enough. Just be. Like, stop doing. Just like, stop doing. You've done enough. Like, just be. Just chill, relax, be. So that's what I did. I took a month off. I went to the beach and I just chilled out. Like, let me just breathe. Okay, that's all I need to do. And in that experience of just me surrendering everything, letting go of everything without expectation, I had a whole spiritual awakening on the beach, a whole, like, very physical spiritual awakening that essentially when I look back, it was like a part of me completely died. That part that I let go of, that was plugged into the matrix, it completely died, and a new part of me just walked in. It was like an integration. This new part of me walked in, and this part of me didn't have an agenda. She was very playful. She was very wise, but very playful, and wanted me to just be playful. So instead of me trying to make something happen and go back to the same pattern of just overworking myself like I did in a corporate space, I was just playing. I'm like, let me just play this summer and see what happens. So I started writing affirmations and just tweeting them, and I started making products, and I was just having fun not realizing that my higher self was like slowly guiding me to do this work. So it just kind of, I followed the breadcrumbs. In other words, I just followed the breadcrumbs. I didn't know I was gonna get here. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know that I am guided. So, and that feeling of feeling guided, I received when I left a place that wasn't for me. That was the first step, was saying no to this, yes to something bigger and better. And then that something better came in. So how I landed here, I essentially just landed into the gifts that I came to this life with, because this comes easy to me. It's not something that I have to train for or learn. Of course, I do my training and I do my due diligence, but 9 out of 10, all the training is just for like ego to be like, okay, here's some structures to use. But as I came with this, every single one of us comes with gifts. There are not like special or anything. There is just who we are. Like, we're all gifted beings, and so it's just a matter of allowing and trusting that those gifts are of value to others. So I just wanted to help my community. I wanted to uplift my community because we weren't being uplifted. I wasn't. When I was going through it, I couldn't find spaces with people that looked like me. So I decided to create it. It was really out of need. And then one thing led to another. So who knows where we're heading? But what I know is that I'm just here to share whatever I have here with everybody, and hope everybody does the same. Hope everybody gets inspired to do the same. And that's how we get things rolling. And so it's a very much a step by step, breadcrumb by breadcrumb, so type of situation.
I like that answer. And I like when answers are long, but also just show the fluidity, but also the continuity of what was going on and leaving a space. And I think that you said that in one of our conversation together, or a reading that you did for me, about when you leave the space that you're not supposed to be in, the messages will come, and you start trusting your guide, you start trusting your higher self. And I guess my next question is, in a world that is constantly plugged in and charged and people being influenced, and so this is what you should be doing right now. For example, with revolutions happening and uprisings happening, people will say, this is how to do things, this is what to do. How do we as a community, and I think with a lot of the people on the call are people who are highly in connection to themselves and their higher self, how do we collectively protect ourselves, but also open up to people to see how to integrate their own personal selves to get to that level of, this is actually what I need to let go and this is what I need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you touched on an important point, Ade, right now, because we're in a way, we're all kind of quarantined, in our own little bubble, but then social media brings us together. And then a lot of times, though, in social media, we are pushed to follow some trends, or push towards some identities that we're tricked into, really, through repetition, instead of actually asking ourselves, like, is this really my role, or what I'm here to do? So the way I see it is, I am team mind your business, radically mind your business, stay in your lane, because otherwise there's too much, there's so much. You can't save the world, you can't. you really can't. So I tried, I couldn't. I'm speaking from experience. So for me, the way I see it is, like, we each have a role. And when we go back to our ancestors and how they did things in a tribal setting, every single person in the tribe has a very specific role. And that role, it can be completely different from the next person's role, but every role is so important. And I think we forget that in our modern society, that, like, the warrior's role is the warrior's role, the healer's role is the healer's role, the cook, the parent's role, like, those are all equally important, but they're all needed. And not everybody can go out and be a warrior. Not everybody can go out and be an activist in that way. To me, the way I define activism is being active in your own life, like doing the things that you need to do, that you feel from your heart. So as far as feeling forced to do something, that I would question that. because that's how we got here to begin with, you know? Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, it does. It did answer the question. I like how you said that's how we got here. And when you were answering before about how you got to this new role that you've embraced, you said you just stay still. But also thinking about the fact that a lot of us and our society do not encourage stillness. Our society doesn't encourage staying still. So sometimes I observe the world and I look at how everybody is jumping on what is going currently on. Oh, everybody's writing affirmation. I'm going to write affirmation. And I'm like, but you are a brilliant poet. And maybe that's your lane. But because everybody's writing information, you hop on the bandwagon and you start doing that, and a lot of time you lose the focus. And you said something very important about our ancestors working in community where each community have different roles. And I guess my next question is, with the people that you work with the people that work into ICU wellness, how do you, because our messaging is always like, oh, this is a trend, follow it. How do you then allow people to just stay still? How do you facilitate space for people to stay still, but also to be able to open up to their higher self and say, this was actually my role? You know, like, how do we facilitate people to discover what their role is, if you have any tips regarding that?
Yeah, I think, I spent all weekend talking about this because we just had a whole day retreat called How to Create Your Own Reality, the inner retreat. And so this is about, how do you stay still? You just have to stay still. Like you have to sacrifice something. You know, I personally had to sacrifice some friends. I had to sacrifice alcohol. I had to sacrifice this because there was something within me that wanted to see like the bigger thing. Like I really wanted. So, but I couldn't have done that until I let go of something. I let go of the job, or I let go of whatever. So what I would advise people usually is to just be here now. What is it that is being asked from you here now? Just in this moment. And sometimes when you ask your body that, or you ask your heart that, you'll get a very simple answer. Like, I need to rest. Like, I need water. I need to call a friend. I need a hug. You know, a lot of our needs are actually really, really simple, but our thinking mind, our ego mind creates these stories, elaborate things, and I need to do this. And we're living in the future and in the past. And when we are living in the future and in the past, we're not inhabiting the body. And when we're not inhabiting the body, we're inviting other forces to inhabit our bodies. A lot of people on social media are not inhabiting their bodies. This is a problem because then they become hosts for these other energies that, they're not necessarily good energies. They're not for the highest good. So the most radical thing you can do is be right here. Like, claim what you got right here, right now. Even if it's shitty, even if it feels bad, even if it's hurtful, just stay with your process here now. What do I have here now? Because a lot of times these things come up to be seen, to be healed, and to be released. And if we don't give them the space to just breathe, to just exist, then they will never go. It'll always be, let's say the next step for somebody is to feel the grief, right? And let's say they're keeping themselves distracted, like they're angry at something, they're busy, they're being an activist, they're going out to this, they're doing all these things, but they're abandoning themselves, they're abandoning their souls, but they're not just sitting with their grief. It's like that anger and all of that fear comes from something that's not met. So in order to take care of yourself, in order for that radical self-care to happen, you have to be present with wherever you are. So if the next step is feel your grief, then that's going to be the next step, even if you ignore it for 6 months. That's the next step. You know what I mean? That's the next breadcrumb. At least that's how I experience it. It could be different for other people, but that's how I experience it. So in order to be still, you have to be curious about what's going on within you and forget what's being projected out into the matrix.
Okay, I just felt like there was a message for me in there, because I remember one of our conversations where you're like, you do too much. Just let things go and be still. And I was like, yes, you're right. I do too much. And learning to let go of too much has made me realize what I need to do. And I think
Mm.
that is a powerful message. Before I go to the audience to start asking their questions, so whoever doesn't feel shy, you can also ask your question live and I'll spotlight you. And if you are feeling shy, please drop your questions in the chat box. This is my last question. It's actually your words that I'm throwing back at you, because I want you to expatiate on them. So there is a post that you did, and I really resonate with the message, but I really think that a lot of people need to hear that message clearly to amplify and reaffirm this message of, remember not to dismantle your humanity as you dismantle systems of oppression. That is so powerful. How do we do that?
Remember not to dismantle your humanity as you dismantle systems of oppression. It's very tricky, isn't it? Okay, so this is like a multi-layered question. So what I noticed, and again, this is on myself, like I'm using myself as the study here, but also when I'm looking what's out there, is that a lot of times, you know, when we dismantle systems of oppression, we're doing this big work. This is big work, and it takes a lot of stamina. Mm-hmm. The quick thing to do is to blame it all on somebody or something and be like, if that thing fixes itself, or if that thing gets better, then I'm gonna have my peace, and like I'm gonna be good. So, or like that has to happen in order for me to be this or whatnot. Okay, but and a lot of times we're still playing in that 3D kind of matrix, which is the template there is us versus them. And I know this is hard because the human is like, hell yeah, us versus them. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Yes, and it's not. You know, we're all in this together, for better or for worse. And so what I mean by don't dismantle your humanity is that if you start to see somebody as the devil, demon, and they are not human, you don't see the humanity in them, then they might actually become that, and you too. So I prefer, and I recommend for people to find compassion for themselves and for all that we're going through as humanity. Find compassion, and forgiveness, not because you want to let other people off the hook. For your own soul, this is for you. It's not even about the others. This is for you. Because if we start to play in that role that this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, these are all evil, all demons, and we become just like them. Or just like those energies. And I'm not recommending people do that. I'm recommending people to sit with whatever they're feeling, whether it's anger, or fear, or grief. There's a lot of grief going on right now, and we're grieving our humanity because, like, why are humans like this? You know what I mean? It's like, seriously, why are humans like this? Sad, you know, and sometimes that feeling of sadness and grief gets distorted, and we start to push it onto someone else. Like, they're doing this, they're doing that, I'm perfect. So the us versus them kind of template is how the dark forces feed off of us. This is how we leak our energy. This is how we waste our energy. So every time I see the us versus them, I try to like step back and find a place of neutrality. Because neutrality can hold both us and them. And it's more energy efficient. We're no longer leaking energy. So yes to dismantling systems, but no to becoming the systems that are non-human systems that we're trying to dismantle. You cannot dismantle a system by becoming just like it, by taking on that same energy. So energetically speaking, that's how I see it. I really do feel like we should be grieving our humanity right now. We really are. I mean, I think about all the the species, the animal species going extinct. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing as humans? You know what I mean? This is not good. So I don't think less humanity is gonna save us. Radical humanity, which sometimes humanity feels shitty, feels like feeling your feelings, and they're not fun to feel, but that's what we have to heal by feeling it in order to move into a new, better place that is more inclusive, that is more compassionate, and that is just overall more human. Because otherwise, we'll be governed by these AI technologies that are basically putting ideas into our minds on how to do and what to do it. This is already happening. It's not in the future. This has been happening through social media and whatnot. So we just have to be mindful and remember that our humanity is the solution. That's it. It's very simple. We don't earn it. We actually just need to relax into it. We already got it. We just need to let it drive.
Thank you. Oh, I'm not music. Okay. Thank you so much for your answer and also for your time. And thank you to everyone on the call. So I'm passing the baton to people who would like to ask questions. You can unmute yourself if you're not shy to speak. And if you're shy, you can just put the questions in the chat box and I will read them out loud. So
yeah. And I'm open to taking any questions whatsoever. I'm pretty open. It doesn't have to be about healing or existentiality. It could be, it could be about.
it could also be how is New York and how is Apple doing?
I have a question.
Yes, I'll go ahead.
So what really drew me to this conversation was the title of the discussion, Creating Sanctuary for Awakened Beings, primarily because I have literally a group membership called The Sanctuary, where we're like spiritual community. And so I actually am open to any channeled messages for this response, if you're comfortable with that. But I feel like we are as these like light hubs for different communities, holding space for our soul family that's awakening. We're doing similar things, but I do think that we're supposed to show up in a very specific way for what that particular group needs. So I'm wondering what holding that sacred space looks like, or what our communities or what you're seeing is actually needed for the collective, like at this stage, because everybody is on, varying levels of awakening or understanding. And one of the things I'm really cautious about is overwhelming of my community with high level information that I'm aware of. And obviously, like as a priestess, wanting to like be transparent, because I think that's one of the reasons why we're in the situation that we're in now, is because in the past and in other lifetimes and timelines, we've kind of like felt like we were infallible, and like taken on that burden of like, I know everything, or like this information. So I do want to be transparent, but I still want to be safe. And so I'm not sure if that's clear, but if you can kind of like just give a response on how can we effectively create sanctuary that still honors the growth, because there is no stagnation anymore. Like it can't just be like this safe space where we grow and hide. It's more of like literally to amplify the awakening that's happening. So if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, that's awesome that you have a sanctuary too. I love it. I love that we're all out there just building the things that we wanted for ourselves. So congratulations for that. And I think, just the short answer is like, just you showing up is enough. Like it doesn't matter what you teach or what comes through. Just you doing that, bringing people together is more than enough, because then spirit will just work through the specifics. However, I very much know and understand exactly what you're saying on not bringing like too much information into everybody at the same time. And, I try to keep things light on the light side. Not that we don't do shadow work or any of that, but I bring light energy into this stuff, and I laugh about it because some of this stuff is so ridiculous. Because if I come here and say, y'all, we're being attacked by dark forces, this is happening, this is the truth, but I just laugh about it, and I'm like, you know what, we're being attacked because we're awesome and they want what we got, but we're not going to give it that to them, you know. So I just try to bring some lightness to it in my delivery, but that's kind of my way of doing things. I would say, I'll tell you how I do it. Whenever I go on in depth on anything, I start with the basics. So for example, for the last year, I've been doing, this is my second one, a 6-week experience. So that's 40 days and a very much an intensive. We go from 0 to 1,000, but we hit those 10, 20, 30, you know, before we get to 1,000. So I make sure that people who are interested in going deeper have space to go deeper. And I create that space with, so the sanctuary is like this big space. Everybody can come to the sound baths. Those are, you know, choose your own adventure type of experience. Those are open for everybody, whoever wants to dip their toes. But if somebody wants to go deeper, then they have to sign up for this thing that I'm creating, a virtual container, an energetic container, with the intention that we are going to go deep. And then within that container, I create another container. Like, for example, in the 6-week experience, we have, it's called Heal and Rise. And we go from the basic, all the way to the more advanced. And we just had this advanced retreat in this Saturday. And people who are not ready for it, I set the intention that whoever is not ready to see this, they can't make it on this day. Like, I just tell my guys, like, just distract them, you know, whatever you need to do, just let them watch it at the time that they need. And so I vet it energetically, if that makes sense. The other thing I do is when I know we're going to go deep on something, I don't advertise it too much. And I use social media for advertising. I'm very open about that. I don't share any of this stuff in social media. It's always behind. It's always for people who opt in. So I just put it out there, and I send an intention. Whoever is ready for this type of energy can come in. Whoever is not, please distract them, cancel them, whatever. So that's how I do it. So that way I don't feel like I set the container. I'm responsible for the container, but whoever comes in there, it's on you. You already vetted you've been vetted, right? So if you come here, then you probably are ready for this. And a lot of times I get people who are completely new, beginners, and they come into some really high level information. But you want to know what? That's the soul chose that, and they are ready to take on all that information. So I don't put too much pressure on myself. I do the best I can. I set those energetic boundaries, and whoever makes it past those boundaries, then you know, congratulations, you made it past the boundaries.
That's really, really helpful. Thank you, especially as it relates to the containers within the containers. And of course, all of the energetic protocols leading in. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that I do is whenever I want to launch something, I just visualize the people who need to be there, that are going to be there. I just call upon them energetically. And a lot of times what I would do, I would cap it to a certain number. So I wouldn't be like open for everyone. It's like once it hits this number, I know that I got my people, and that's it. So I do work with boundaries like that a lot. And sometimes it can be very rigid. Like I can be super rigid where I'm like, no, it has to be. So I need to soften a little bit and just trust, because I do believe that we are in a time that if this is shocking, then good, because there's more. You know, we need to keep it moving. You know what I mean? We can't keep spoon feeding. You know, of course, if somebody is in the path of awakening, they wouldn't even sign up for your sanctuary or mine. You know, they just wouldn't. It's not something that's in their radar at all. So if they do show up and they show that they're doing the work, then why not? If their soul is ready, just throw it out there. And if their soul is not ready, even if you throw it out there, it might not even register. So it's all good anyway.
Thank you so much, Timil, for the amazing question. And as someone who's attended one of Timil's classes, I feel like there's a lot of intention that you also put into creating those space. And I like your question because it's one of the things I'm really afraid of around social media is that some messages that my God will say, I'll be like, yeah, that's not for everyone. But what do you do about it? So thank you for that question. Do we have any other question? I can tell. I was like, Marissa's gonna ask a question. My spirit's like, she's gonna ask the next question. And I was pulling out my necklace because I'm like, yeah, she created this. Of course she's gonna ask a question.
So yeah, it's not really a question. It's more just grateful that you mentioned about staying in your lane. I've always, from a very young age, I've always worked with spirit and with energy. That's just something that's always, it's something that my mum's done and my grandmothers have done and that kind of thing. And I'm an artist, so my I think my way of as you said, staying in my lane is doing it creatively. But I think because I was always a bit wary of the reception that it would get if people kind of clocked on, you know, like to the work I do and etc. etc. So my way of doing it was always aesthetically and through things. So, and I think it's obvious in a lot of the work that I do, but my how shall I put it? My gateway is through the fact that I also make jewelry as well. So I work a lot with crystals. And so that was something that I decided to actually make known that I did. And through that, I have, I've made for lots of people. I've made for Adi as well, Adiola as well. She's got some through me and also people through her as well. But there are a certain group that come back and, you know, and for different things. And for me, it's not okay. It's not the commercial side of it. It's the fact that everything that I make, there's energy and then there's intention that goes into it. So it's not a case of just making something that's pretty. The person that I have made for or that I have spoken to, they have come to me with a specific intention for the piece that I'm creating. And so I think I'm kind of going off topic a little bit, but I get kind of torn between wanting to do the spiritual work and wanting to do my art and wanting to do the creativity. So this is kind of my way of like covertly doing it at the same time. But just being able to help people that way and using that as my avenue to do it. And then it opens up so many different conversations because I think, I know there's two people that I create for and we have some really deep conversations. And once they kind of realized what I do with my work and with the jewelry and with spirit work and everything, they said that it's, kind of not validated what they were thinking as well, but it's like they were relieved because they were feeling that same thing, feeling that they were going down that same path as well, but didn't know how to look at it or how to approach it or, you know, who to speak to about that kind of thing. And I think it's the same for me as well, just knowing that there are people out there that you can actually, you know, I don't know them personally, but we have this connection through what I do. And it's just, I think it's made me a bit more open about it. I'm not so, you know, I don't kind of like shy away from it, especially when I'm putting my work out there. I let people know that this is the intentions. I put this intentions and this energy into my work. Some guy decided he was going to right click and steal some work off of my website and then tell me about it. And I said, listen, thanks for telling me, but I'm not the one to steal from. It's like, this is not the energy that you wanted to be stealing from. You will never get any joy from that piece of work. And I just thought to myself, the people that are meant to come and cross my path and experience my work in that way, they do. And I think I put that energy and I put that spirit out there, and that is what I get back. And so, yeah, I think, like you were saying, you know, everybody has their role to play. And I think if I was back with my ancestors, I'd probably be the person, like making the pots or decorating houses and making jewelry and that kind of stuff. So yeah, but no, I was glad to hear you say that, because I know sometimes when you do one thing and you can do another thing and you want to help everyone and do everything, but sometimes you just have to focus on your role, and the work will be seen through that role that you have. So thank you for highlighting that.
Oh, thank you, Marissa. I really appreciate everything you said, because within my work, I find myself doing a lot of different things. And every now and then I'm like, okay, I need to refocus. But you being an artist, like the work that you do just to create and the work that you do intention they both hold like pure energy anyway. Art is so incredibly important, and just creating from the heart has a certain frequency. It's not like creating in a factory, and that's really valuable. And so yeah, stay in your lane. That's how I do it. I trust that whoever is gonna come will come, and I never once advertise myself or try to advertise myself. And I came from advertising. I know how to do all these things. But I also know that when you do that, sometimes you attract the energies that you don't actually want. So I only call the people who are ready to do the work, and I'm like, okay, here's my filters, so anybody who's not can just go. And that's part of sacrificing for quality and for intentional work, as opposed to just doing all the things, which can be fun, for exchange purposes. But at some point, we're here to do our mission, and so staying in your lane is gonna save you a lot of time and headaches.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marissa, for sharing that, and thank you for affirming each other. Do we have any more questions in the audience? Okay, no more question. But then I would ask my final question before I go to the next segment of the conversation. And I think my final question is not even a question, is the stay in your lane. I feel like it's a recurrent theme in all of our lives. And especially, I think, as people who have a priesthood role or a leadership role, because I do believe that everybody on this call is a leader in what they do and in the way that they're showing up in their community. It's always very difficult in times like this. I'm saying times like this because we see what's going on planetary. We had issues around Mercury retrograde allowing us to come into this call, but here we are. But with all of that, I'm also seeing how people come to people like us, like people will always come and ask you for things that you're not even advertising, or people will say, oh, I see that you're doing the spiritual work, or even you don't have to say anything, you're just doing your own thing and staying in your lane, but people will come to ask you for all the wrong things. And I think my question is, despite the boundaries and intention that you said, when do you say, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm very much a person who likes to believe that they're very masculine, affirmative in the way they go about things. Like, no is no. You can ask me for hundreds of things. If I'm not going to give it to you, I'm not giving it to you, period. But my question is, I see other people, and I see sometimes myself, level of like when people ask me for things that I'm not even advertising, how do we make them understand that you cannot get this from me, period? What is, I guess, the nicest way to do that?
The nicest way is to prioritize yourself and love yourself so much that you say yes to you and no to everyone else. And so that's like the quickest way to get there. But if this is a pattern that you're healing within yourself, then it is going to be a muscle that you constantly exercise. So I'll give an example with me, like that happened to me, and I'm still kind of like tightening up the loose ends. But I came from the advertising industry, and I was doing a lot of work in there, like a lot of healing work, believe it or not. But it wasn't like seen as healing work. I was just talking about advocating for people of color, for women, and all of this stuff. And so it took on a different thing. But anyway, after I left, I was getting a lot of requests to do different things for the industry, and I'm like, I broke up with this industry. Why are you still coming to me? Like, leave me alone. So in the beginning, I was like, whoa, but this is good money. Let me just take on this one project. Let me just do this one thing. So I took on that thing, and it would be like a nightmare. It would be a complete nightmare. And then I'm like, with my guys, I'm like, I know I'm supposed to learn this lesson, but like, how am I supposed to pay rent? And I would like play the victim, and I know myself, and I'm watching all this stuff unfold. And so I had to do that like at least 4 or 5 times, go see that it wasn't for me, and then get out. And then the last time, here's how I kind of unhooked from the pattern, is that I fired a client in the middle of the project. I did. I had to. It was like, if I don't do this, this pattern is going to keep going. So I was just like, you know what? I no longer do this. Thank you very much. You're fired. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I decided I am going to focus fully on my healing work. I don't do race work. I don't do diversity work. I do healing work. I'm interested in people healing, not in people talking about healing or talking about this. I want to do the work. And so when I said that, I was given a couple other opportunities that I was like, this is my opportunity to say no. And so I said, no, back to back. And then that started to go away. Now, every now and then I'll get another opportunity, and I have to remind myself, remember when you did this? Remember when you adjusted yourself to fit in the role I want you to play? That's the key. It's like, I realized, I'm telling you that this is what I have to offer. I have healing to offer. I can do energy work. I can do meditation. I can do all of these things that I'm interested in, like activations and whatnot. This is the menu, but you're to me saying that you want something off menu, which requires me to leave who I decided to fit in the idea that you think of me, and I'm no longer willing to do that. And I just, no, I don't care how much money, I'm not playing in the role. If it's not in my link in bio, then it's not available. Wait until it's in the link in bio, basically. You gotta do what you gotta do to save your energy.
Yeah, that's it. I feel like that's the lesson I experience that I'm learning when it comes to a lot of the works that I do, having different specialities and different things. I guess different boxes that people have for a long time put me in, that I'm too like, I don't function in that way anymore. So I think this is the best way, like just cutting it off. Sometimes my ancestors will be like, we're looking at you stretch yourself for no damn reason. And it's interesting to watch you fall apart because we've told you before. And I'm like, I know, right? This is fun for you guys, but it's not so much fun for me. So I really appreciate that.
It's just like being brave and staying focused on what makes you happy. Most importantly, like, don't do it because of the money, because I was doing it because of the money. I'm like, I live in New York. New York is
money, because I look at my rent and I'm like, yeah, I need to do that for the money.
Right. Like I used to have that program too. I need to do this for the money. And then my guides one day said, they're like, so you don't trust that you can make all the money you need being of service. Is that what you're saying? And I was like, dang, you got me. And I was like, no, I can't say that because that's where I want to go. So I'm just fine. Show me the money. And they did. They showed up. And I was like, oh, wow. I'm doubting my abilities. And a lot of times, like all of us here, like we're multi-talented, a lot to contribute to the world. We've had many lifetimes doing things, but and it doesn't mean you can do many things, but at some point you gotta focus on what you want to leave behind, the work that you want to leave behind, because sometimes all the extra stuff becomes a distraction. For me, not energetically speaking, if your energy is here, then it's not focused, and the impact that it's making is small. It's like trying to dig a well and you have one hole here, one hole here, one hole. You'll never get to the water. So digging in one hole, from that one hole, you'll get to that good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you for that message. Thank you. Do you have any channel message for the collective who is on the call? Do you feel called to do that? I know that we talked about it and you said you're open to that. Is that something you want to do?
A chat message. Yeah.
And is everybody on the call okay with that? I guess also. Okay,
I can pull some cards for us.
Okay.
I spent the last weekend channeling a lot. So, and I'm a little brain fried, but I can pull some cards for us and then explain them. Is this going to be for everybody watching or just us here?
Everybody that spirits want to send a message to.
Okay.
With us here included. And
Okay.
I guess a reminder is that everybody should use their intuition and their own direction to take what message is for them.
Yes. Okay. I think there are 3 messages for 3 different groups here. Yes. And they're all, I love it. They're all very, okay. So there's a group here, and this might be somebody live or somebody here. So if you're here in person, let me know. That's me. There's a group here that has that impostor syndrome, let's say. Like, I can't do this because I'm not trained enough, or I can't do this because I'm not ready enough. I need more. I need more of this. I need more followers. I need more exposure. I need more.
What a dragging. What a dragging. Haven't even started. Okay.
So that's you, huh? All right. So that is thinking like, I need this in order for me to do this. It says it's time to use your shape-shifting abilities. You are a shapeshifter. You can shapeshift into whatever. Act as if you are that which you want to be. Just bring that energy right here, right now. You're a shapeshifter. You are. So it's act as if. Act as if, and it shall be. So this is an opportunity for you to the way I see it is like, it's almost like you're putting on this coat, this new coat. Like, let me see if it fits, you know, like you put it on this new identity or whatever it is that you want to, and just try it on. Try it on until it feels comfortable, because what might feel uncomfortable is that you haven't gotten a chance to play in that energy yet. So in order to anchor it, you have to first play in it. Be willing to try it on and shape shift into it. Because the card that came for you is the Chameleon Spirit. And it says act as if. And it's number 15, which is 5, which is the number of change. Be willing to shift and change and to move and morph until you find the position or like the energy or the state of being that fits you uniquely. So that's message number 1. So you're gonna have to fake it till you make it, let's say. But it wouldn't be faking it. You wouldn't be faking it. You are a shapeshifter. You're just allowing that quality to come. So if your mind is saying you're faking it, you're not. You're just trying it on. You're playing. Be playful with it. Okay? Hopefully that resonated, Marissa, since we have you here, group 1. All right. Group 2. Okay, wow. Group 2, many, this is the biggest group here. Many of you here are afraid to take the leap. Are afraid to. Many of you are afraid to take the leap because it feels really big and it feels really like, is this even possible? Is this even available? Is this even, and I'm getting chills as I'm saying this because it's like, it feels so big that you can't even hold it. It's so big. And can I actually even do this? And Spirit is saying, this is what you're here to do. You're here to co-create with the universe and understand, not here on your own. This you want to leap in, your guides are waiting with a net, with like a foam bed type of net where you just land so softly They're waiting, but they cannot push you. They can't make you leap. You kind of have to take that first step towards the mystery. You're not how it's going to come out. So try to not think about how it's going to be once you leap. It's useless because it is bigger than you can possibly imagine with your mind. And guided to trust mystery right now. Take that leap of faith. Go towards the mystery. Go towards the darkness, the unknown. That will never disappoint you.
Okay, this feels like a personal drag because this was the message I had while I was at a waterfall this weekend and just channeling the energy of the earth. And the message was like, why are you stalling? Why are you afraid? And I know what I need to do, but I'm just like, I'm a Capricorn. I'm like, take it a step at a time. And the message is like, what step? There are no steps. This is what you should be doing. So I feel like this is personal.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You're welcome. So the card that came, this is the whale spirit. It says, trust the great mystery, and is number 11, 665, with number 11. So this is new beginning. Yeah, I understand why you're worried about this. It's a big change. It's a big jump, but it is the next step, and spirit got your back. So you gotta trust and leap. And I also love how every single one, this reading like works as collective reading, which I'll get to, because every group has a very specific thing. Some of you need to be the shapeshifter, like just act as if. Some of you have to actually leap into the unknown. And some of you have to just start believing in yourself, just believing that you can. And then together you have this group that is about to shift into something new. So the third group, I'm trying to do quick math here. Okay, so the third group, this group is kind of like one of those big in the beginning stages group. So this is the group that is now in exploration, where things have shifted and they're like, whoa, I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of information, a lot of things happening in their, and they do have that. Again, they're in the beginning of their journey, and they're learning to believe in themselves. They're learning to believe in their magic. They're learning to trust themselves. So the universe here, the spirit is saying, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your magic. You have to put it out there. You have to keep exploring, but keep trusting that you have an inner compass that is guiding you. So you have to believe in you. Stop doubting yourself. You are your own worst critiquer. You are your own worst enemy. Stop doubting yourself. You gotta switch that program in your mind that is like, you can't do this, into you can and I will. Why? I'm gonna give this example for this group. Give this example in when I teach my classes, that the mind is hijacked, y'all. Like, that's the matrix. Like, the mind is hijacked. Like, it is what it is. So the way I want you to, for this group and for everybody, to deal with all these incoming thoughts, negative thoughts, is to treat them as, say, strangers that come into your home. So imagine you're at home, living your best life, relaxing, enjoying life, and then there's this random person comes into your home, sits in your couch, and tell you, you're terrible, you're never gonna do this. You'll never gonna achieve your dreams. You're never gonna make it. Imagine if some random person from the street does that. What are you gonna do? You're gonna kick them out. You're gonna call the police. You're not gonna listen to them. But what we do with thoughts is we invite them in, and then we give them cookies and milk and tea, and we sit there and hang out with the thoughts. It's like, no. If you have these thoughts coming in, be like, nuh-uh, you're not welcome here. Don't let them live rent-free in your mind. So that's the practice for group 3, is cleanse the mind. Feel free to question any negative thoughts that come your way. You don't have to engage with them. Question them, because you're in the process of reprogramming your mind so that you can begin to believe in yourself, so that you can go on about your mission. Okay, so group 3, your card is the Squirrel Spirit, and it says believe in yourself, and it is number 12, which is number 3, and so it's like it's time to explore. So this is I would say like group 3 is like they're in the beginning journey. Group 1, they're kind of in the middle. They need some kind of like adjustment, shape shifting. Group 2 need to take a big leap. Group 2 is like this is like a next evolution. This is a big step. And as a collective, we have act as if, trust the great mystery, believe in yourself. And so as a collective here, we're looking at really us. We spent so many generations forgetting our power, our magic, and hiding it. And it's really time to get back into our knowing, our deeper knowing. You know, for so many generations, ancestors hide their gifts or like pretend they're not there, and we need to re-pretend until we get to where we need to go. Do you know what I'm saying? Because everything that you're bringing forth is not something from, it's in you. It's your DNA that's being activated. So whether you activate acting as if it's already active, or by taking a leap of faith, or by just believing in yourself every day, that's how you activate the fullness of who you are. So if there's a journey ahead, and trust that you have community to hold you and to guide you as we're going through this process. But staying hidden is no longer an option.
Oof. A message. Staying hidden is no longer an option. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And as everyone on the call also, thank you. I'm going to move to the last segment of this. So I call this part the colorful ending, which is, so as a Yoruba person, we have this thing where in English it translates as eulogy, but that's not what it means. It's praises. It means that you tell people how you feel about them, you affirm their existence, you affirm who they are. And I always like to connect my Yoruba heritage to the things that I do. So colorful ending is where I put forward what I feel and what my spirits and ancestors are telling me about each guest that comes to Colorful Conversation. So first of all, I would like to thank you deeply for your years of friendship and community support and generosity, for your existence, for the things that you bring to this world, and allowing yourself to fully show up in those gifts, to fully participate in our collective liberation by owning up to your role, by knowing what your role is, and honing your craft and perfecting your craft so that you can be of service to the collective. I thank you deeply for how generous you have been, and how much of a sister you have been to me personally, but also how you have been to the collective community of Distinguished Diva. I pray and I invite my ancestors to touch your ancestors and communicate the protection, the guidance, the generosity, the love, and the abundance of prosperity, the abundance of care, and the abundance of protection that is necessary for your continuous evolution, for the evolution of your lineage, for the evolution of who you are and who the community you are building is going to be in this world, in this realm. I call upon our collective ancestors to lift us up together so that we will be able to show up fully in our true gift, in our true power. And I pray that may the ancestors, the spirit guide, the spirit network that are with us be always in our favor. And I pray that my Ori will honor your Ori in the many, many different gifts that are available to my Ori and also to yours. So thank you so much for this presence.
Thank you so much, Ade. Thank you everyone for being here. I just so much love to you. I receive.
Thank you. Thank you also. I want to say thank you to every single one. Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Kopano, who has left. Thank you, Tamil. Thank you so much for what you individually do in your community. And as Audre Lorde said, and also as we all know, our collective liberation and our liberation are inherently interlinked, and your liberation is my liberation. And I'm very grateful to be in community with all of you. So thank you and have a good night. I'm sending you so much love from the motherland.
Hi, everybody. Much love to everyone. Please stay connected.
Stay connected, and I'll post the video if you care to share it with everyone else. I'll post and share the links later. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.